question, and you said something that I think will mortify, if not the faculty, then at least the students who are spending tens of thousands of dollars going to leadership academies all over the place, which you say can't be taught.
I don't think it can be, but I mean, people will probably disagree with me, but I mean, what do you teach? I mean, there's certain precepts, I suppose, that are useful. I mean, when I took on the Trinity job, I had very good advice from my brother who's here tonight. He said, get to know everyone. And I did try to get to know all the people who worked here, and the students and the student leaders, and it makes a difference because they can attach your face to the person who's there. And I found that by talking to people, I would pick up things. So there's certainly useful things you can learn. But actually how you deal with difficult situations, I'm not sure you can be taught.
Can you teach character, though? Can you teach integrity, ethics, that kind of thing?
Oh, you can certainly I don't think you can teach character. Character is something you have, but I think you certainly can teach. Any society does teach its young. And if we look at what children are taught in schools, we're trying to teach them to behave in ways we think are correct. Now, every society has different ideas of what is correct and what is the right way to behave. But yes, of course you can. And I think, I think all the evidence seems to be that psychologists will know that much better than me, that you can instill in people a code of values, you can instill in ways of behaving. And Confucius always said that if you encourage people to behave in the correct way, sooner or later they will understand why they're doing it. If they behave correctly, then sooner or later they will internalize it. And I think that makes a lot of sense. That you try and instill a code into people, and that's what English public schools are all about. Instill codes of behavior into the empire builders. I sometimes wish Donald Trump had gone to a good English public school, and who knows. But I do think that, but there will always be people for whom the teaching doesn't take. But I do think you get, in any society, codes of values, codes of behavior, which help to constrain some of the worst features of human nature. And, in the world, human nature can be utterly selfish, self-seeking, not thinking of others, although there's some evidence now that we have an altruistic gene lurking away somewhere. But I do think that's part of what society does, it socializes this. And I think, ideally, you want to live in a society which encourages people to think about other people, and encourages people to have empathy with other people and try and understand other people. And I think teaching can make a difference.
When I look at all of the business schools of the world that are, post-Great Recession, starting to include courses in integrity and ethics because they saw how little of that there was in the behavior of Wall Street, for example, during the Great Recession. And I'm disturbed if you think that can't be taught, or there's no point in teaching it because if you either got it or you don't.
No, I think you can teach things like codes of ethics, definitely, and people can, you hope, understand why these are important in any functioning society. What I'm not sure is whether you can turn people into a leader, or whether you can give them a strong character. I mean, if you have a strong character, you have a strong character. I'm not sure you can make people have strong characters. It seems to me there's a real difference between ways in which people behave to each other. I mean, I think team sports is a very important way of for a lot of people, of getting them to understand they have to work with other people. And if they don't work with other people, it isn't going to work. So I think, yes, there are lessons that can be learned, but how to make someone a strong leader, I think you can't take any single human being and make them into a strong leader. I think that's a fallacy. What you can do is instill in help to encourage in people values that make them better citizens and members of society, but that's simply a very different thing.
Let me ask you two more quickies, and then we're going to get this audience involved because I don't want to monopolize all of the time up here with you. The most disappointing leader you ever saw, who would that have been? The person in whom you had high hopes and they just dashed them.
Oh, that's hard.
That's my business, man.
Yeah, no. But I'm trying to think who I was really disappointed in. I suppose I'm fairly aware I was disappointed in Barack Obama, simply because I'd hoped he'd do more. But I've come around to thinking that is actually unfair, because he was dealing with a poisonous Congress. And when the leader, the Republican leader, I think it was in the Senate, said, my policy is to oppose anything Barack Obama wants to do.
Maybe a one-term president.
Yeah, and I thought, how do you work in that environment? I'm trying to think other others will be able to think better. My mind's gone totally blind. Maybe I've never been disappointed.
It's a good way to live life, actually. You know? Can I ask the flip side of this and say who was the most and unexpectedly terrific leader? You had no expectations of them, and yet they did really well.
Actually, someone I didn't have much expectations of was Joe Clark. And I think initially, when he was foreign minister, I think, before he was prime minister. And I think
No, he was not, no.
No, he wasn't, okay, but he, as prime minister, but he
The good second act.
yeah, and but his first 6 months, he didn't seem to really have much grasp of what was going on in the world. And he really went off and learned, I think.
Yeah.
And I thought that was very impressive. So I think he became, in retrospect, you know, so often we look in retrospect and think actually it wasn't so bad. And I think he definitely wasn't so bad.
Good choice. Okay, everybody, it's your turn now. Let's not be a totally Canadian audience here and have everybody afraid to go first. Who's going to be?
Show some leadership.
Who's going to be the best? Who's going to be brave and put their hand up first and get this thing
Oh,
started?
that's a brave man.
Steve,
Where?
why
Yeah,
Bill
sorry.
Davis?
Sorry? Oh, we got microphones.
Why Bill Davis?
Good question.
The question's supposed to be for her. I don't
No,
know.
but she's not doing the talking, you talk.
Yeah. Michael Davis.
Why Bill Davis? Okay. I've known him for 30 years. He was the premier from the time I was 10 till 24, so sort of my most formative years were his most formative years in public life. I've been bugging him for probably 10 or 20 years to do it. He's been out of politics for 31 years. And I've been bugging him for much of that time to let somebody, and it didn't have to be me, just somebody, get all of what's in his head down on paper, because he first got elected when Leslie Frost was premier. For those of you who don't know, that's 1959. That's a long time ago. And he knows a lot of stuff. And he's 87 now. And I thought, if we don't get this soon, we're never going to have it. So I think just going at him, I used a number of different techniques to try to get him eventually to yes, and finally it worked. So that's why. Who else? I saw a hand here. Yes, ma'am.
The microphone.
Oh, microphone down
Someone's
here.
galloping along with the microphone.
That'd be interesting to hear your opinion of Theresa May.
Oh, Theresa May is, I find very interesting. I've just come from England, and so I've been talking a lot about some politics. And what I find interesting about her is nobody knows much about her. There's no common view of her. Normally when someone becomes leader of a party, people pop up and say, you know, I've known her for so long, and she cares passionately about this, or he cares strongly about this, and let me tell you about this and that. And there's no sense of the person. I think she must be a very private person. There's really no sense of her. She seems to have a very small circle she deals with. Is she very tough? I don't know. So far, she's you know, been very very sort of firm in what she's doing. But when I was there were beginning to be some murmurings about when is she actually going to say something about what she's going to do. And she's done two things which I think are sort of interesting. You wonder why she's done them. One is she's divided up the Brexit, or the management of foreign policy, between these three very different figures. So she's put Boris Johnson in charge of foreign policy, but she's removed negotiating Brexit from his purview, and she's given it to David Davis, who's a very strong Brexiteer.
Is that a smart move?
Well, this is what everyone's wondering. Dividing it three ways could be a recipe for chaos, but it may be that she will look better as a result. And nobody quite knows whether there's this division, this is very sort of aside, but there's a division from the strong Brexit who say out is out, and the soft Brexit who say out is out but, and we can negotiate something. So David Davis, I think, is strong Brexit, and then she's put Liam Fox, a rather dubious figure, in charge of renegotiating the economic agreements that the British are now going to have to start renegotiating. And by the way, that's a problem. They don't have enough negotiators, and they've just hired a leading German trade negotiator to negotiate for them. So there's nice irony there. But anyway, so she's done that, and no one knows if it's actually very clever, if it's going to lead to complete sort of loggerheads. And she won't say what she's going to do. She keeps on saying, I'm not going to give a running commentary, which works once or twice. But if you say it week after week, people say, well, does that mean there's nothing happening? Or what are you thinking about it? The second thing she's done is she's picked this, as far as most people I would talk to would see, totally unnecessary quarrel over grammar schools. She's announced she wants to bring back grammar schools, which were phased out under the Labour government a long time ago, and the education system has been radically overhauled since then. So why does she want to bring back grammar schools is not entirely clear. And why is she making this an issue when there are so many more, at least most people's minds, so many more serious issues? So at the moment, it's early days, so perhaps she's being very clever, perhaps she's not, it's difficult to tell. But she's an interesting personality, because nobody really has come forward to say, well, we can tell you about her, she's like this, or she's like that. So she's it's an interesting question, what she's going to be like. And of course, what we're all wondering, because the three people she's put in charge of foreign policy, there's a wonderful country mansion that the foreign secretary has called Chevening, and it has something like 100 rooms and, you know, gorgeous gardens, and she's told all three of them they have to share it. So I think you can expect a new sitcom. Chevening Follies.
Yes, Minister, yes,
Yes,
Minister,
yes,
yes,
Minister,
Minister.
yes.
Up in the back, please.
Thank you very much, Dr. MacMillan, Dr. Paikin. You know, I listened to
Microphone, please.
Thank you. Listened to you all very attentively, but no one has brought up Angela Merkel. I've really become quite, not mesmerized, but fascinated by her, because the German psyche isn't really one to extend your loving heart and generosity of spirit. And yet here's this woman who, in her might and fortitude, saying, yeah, 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 no, 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 and then yeah. And she took all these people in, and by the grace of God, I've been quite intrigued by her. So Dr. MacMillan, what is your opinion?
Well, I have to disagree with your wild characterization of the Germans as not being, you know, kind, and they've been an awful lot more generous than a lot of other European countries, and then that's at the grassroots level as well. I think she's an extraordinary figure. I think she's been a great political leader. She's a great European political leader. She's in political trouble at the moment. Her party is not doing that well. There's a German grassroots populist party called the Alternative for Deutschland, the AfD, which has been doing quite well in local elections. They got 11% in Berlin last week, which is a very liberal and left-wing city. That's a bit worrying. And she is now saying, I'm going to get too quickly with the refugees, but she's not backing down. And she's not saying we're going to close our borders, which a lot of other European countries are doing, and the British are certainly doing. And the British are now building a wall at Calais to try and prevent those desperate people from jumping on lorries and trying to get across the channel. And she's not doing that. I mean, she is persisting, and I think it's costing her and her party politically, but I admire her enormously for it. You may disagree with the way in which she suddenly announced, and she's now saying, I shouldn't have said the borders are open because we weren't prepared. But Germany has taken 1 million refugees. Britain, I think, has taken 15,000.
Well, no, actually, I'm very proud of her.
Yeah, I think she's
worried that, you know, how do you think she'll be viewed historically from this?
Oh, that's an impossible question. I think she'll be viewed as a very important leader at a very important time. But how we view her will, of course, depend on what now happens to Europe, and what may happen to Europe is not looking all that good at the moment. I mean, the European Union is only part of what Europe is, but it's a very important part of it, and the European Union is under tremendous strain. And there is talk in other countries of leaving. I mean, Marine Le Pen was absolutely delighted with the Brexit vote and immediately said, I'm going to start campaigning for Frexit, a French leading the union. We have Hungary with the government moving more and more to the right, setting up refugee control point. Well, it's already done that, but people having to register. Poland has got this very extraordinary right-wing government. It's worrying. You know, social democratic countries like Denmark, the Netherlands have populist right-wing parties, but they're not all anti-immigrant. Some are and some aren't. The Podemos in Spain is not particularly anti-immigrant. And so it depends. But I think Europe is in a troubled state. And it's a bit worrying. And as a historian, I mean, what I always remember, we all do, is what Europe was like before it had some form of unity. And think of the horrors that it caused in the 20th century. And think of earlier wars. And I'm